Alright, welcome back. Today I'm talking about the design of the forest in the top field. So let's start again with the access tracks, because it's always a good place to start. The quarry field is down there. You can just about see the trees down here, which are the quarry, and the track will come up here and up here, and then it's gonna, at this point it will split. So in this direction, the track will follow the current woodland here around the bottom, and that goes round to the garden field, so we'll see that in a bit. And the main track into the top field comes up here, and on the left hand side we got, this is the steepest bit here. This is where we're going to be leaving either open ground or planting more native shrubs or small trees like hawthorn and hazel, because we want to protect some of the views from higher up. We'd like to keep a bit of a view across here. And yeah, then we've got a sub-compartment on this side. We've got oak and wild cherry and silver birch, so that was a similar mix, the same mix as we've got down in the garden field. I chatted a bit more about that in the last video. And the soil here is pretty good. You can see it's quite nice, as they would call it. It's a brown earth, free draining, reasonably high in nutrients. And then on the left hand side here, where it gets a little bit flatter, we're planning to put in some sweet chestnut with I think again with some wild cherry and some silver birch, and a bit more. We don't know quite sure if it's going to work in this location. It's fairly sheltered in this spot, so we're hoping it will be okay, but if not, then we've got this backup. We'll leave the silver birch for longer, as we would have in theory using it as a nurse, so we'd cut it out sooner. But if the sweet chestnut doesn't work, we'll leave the silver birch in longer. That's the plan. And yeah, this is still walking on the track alignment here. It's kind of it's a very good, it's kind of quite solid at the moment, so it's where the farmer drives up here at the moment, and then goes to the right of these sycamore trees just up here. Here in this area here, we're going to have quite a large band that will run around here and up and over the top, just over here, and that's going to be a mixture of 4 trees. So it's going to be oak, sycamore, wild cherry, and then the nurse again is silver birch. So that's quite a large area we're going to do here, and over the top, so up here on the top, just here, that's going to be oak and silver birch, and that's going to be a bit more scattered, a bit more natural, some more open areas in there, just because the soil is quite thin at the top up there, quite a lot of exposed rock. So we thought, oh, maybe that's a good area to have some more open clearings and stuff, which is good for the biodiversity. And then over the top of there, and it kind of drops down before the trees you can see in the distance. It drops down, and there's kind of a nice sheltered area down there. So the plan at the moment is to put some sweet chestnut on that slope over there. We think hopefully it'll grow okay, but we're going to mix in with some oak just in case it doesn't. It might be a bit too, even though it's sheltered, it might just still be a bit too exposed up there for the sweet chestnut. Over to the right, down here, it drops down a bit, going down this side as well. And then there's a drove road, so the old track that goes up and down the edge of the land in that direction. There's some trees on that, and that creates kind of a sheltered bit in there. So we're going to plant just some pure silver birch there. Hopefully we're going to want to try and get some good quality birch out of that, which can be used in a construction, like cladding or flooring, something like that. But in Scotland, silver birch isn't really grown for construction material. It can be quite hard to grow straight, but recently they've done a lot more work on developing a good seed bank, so taking trees that are growing with good form, like really straight, and then breeding them together and taking those seeds, and then hopefully if you keep doing that over time, you get a better quality stock. So that's we're going to be using seeds grown for that purpose, which hopefully means we might get some good quality timber from silver birch. But we decided just to stick with quite a small area as a test, really, because you don't want to risk everything on that. The other thing to say is at the back, up here, so that's not our hill just here. So before that, along the top of our land, we're going to plant a strip of Scots pine. So Scots pine is not something that we're planting that much of. The reason is it just takes up a fair amount of room to grow it properly. It doesn't generally grow well underneath itself, so this continuous cover forestry method that we're hoping to do, it doesn't really work well for that because it needs a lot of light. Scots pine is generally a pioneer species of tree, so it likes growing where there's lots of light and not many other trees. But along that edge there, it should get quite a lot of light coming in from the edge, from the fields adjacent. So hopefully there it will work well, and it's you know, we kind of want to plant as many native trees as we can, with the balance between the productive and the biodiversity side. So hopefully that will work well along the edge of the field up there. In the rushes, that's our kind of quite a large coniferous area we've got over there, and that's we've ended up with quite a high mixture of different things. So we've got a bit of Douglas fir and western red cedar. So they were what we were hoping to plant more of to start with, but after discussing with our forester, it's kind of looking a bit too exposed up here, a bit too windy, and they're probably not going to grow so well. And it's also maybe potentially a bit wet for Douglas fir. It doesn't like its roots being in waterlogged soil too much. So although it's not waterlogged all year round, it's maybe just a bit too much even there. But you can see in some areas, like here, the rushes are not so dense, so potentially in those areas it might be okay. And then that's only going to account for about 20% of the trees, because if they don't work, we need something else to grow instead. So we've got quite a high percentage of spruce, mainly Norwegian spruce, but also a bit of Sitka spruce. And the Sitka is mostly there as a nurse because it should grow quicker and provide a bit more shelter while the other trees are getting established. And then we'll come in probably 15 years time and cut that Sitka spruce out. And we're also going for about 20% broadleaf trees in there, just to see what happens, because the coniferous tree should be ready if the spruce grows. Let's say the Douglas fir and the western red cedar don't grow, but the spruce grows well, then that'll come out in say 40 years time, and then hopefully we can then the broadleaf trees can then grow and mature once we've taken the coniferous trees out. That's the plan, and then we can hopefully encourage some natural regeneration or underplant the broadleaf trees at that time when we take the coniferous trees out. So that's kind of going back to trying to create a continuous cover forest. So we're thinking about, well, potentially some of the more unusual conifers can't grow to start with, but once there's more trees on the site, then that will provide a bit more shelter from the wind and the weather. So potentially in the long run we might be able to grow a bigger variety of things around here. And then the other thing to say is we haven't got much Scots pine. We're not really planting much Scots pine at all, but along the edge of our land, like just along here, we're going to be planting some Scots pine, just because along that edge there it's going to have quite a lot of light coming in from the side, which Scots pine needs. And I want to plant some native trees where we can, so that seems like a good place to plant them. And the reason why we're not planting that much Scots pine for timber is that it's not, I guess the quality of the timber isn't so high, compared to the spruces or the Douglas fir or redwood that we're growing, but also that Scots pine doesn't really grow very well as in a continuous growth forest. So it would grow well to start with, like in a field, as long as it's not too exposed, I guess. But then later on, as the forest grows, it's unlikely to grow underneath itself, which is what we're trying to encourage into the future. So we're trying to plant trees which will regenerate under themselves later on. And okay, so going in this, the other thing is to say, yeah, so we've got so the road that we came up past the sycamores, one's going to go up in this direction, and then it's going to split, and one's going to go up here. So we're going to get one spur into the coniferous section and one into the deciduous section. Right, so we're coming down into the corner down here. This is the direction the garden field's in. So as we drop down from higher up, lower down, where it's going to be hopefully a bit more sheltered, the plan is to plant a higher percentage of Douglas fir down this corner, and also with some western red cedar and probably some larch. So larch has a disease in the UK. Quite a lot of fair amount of larch has been getting a disease, and if you get the disease in your forest, you basically have to cut down all the trees around the affected larch. I think it's like within 250 meters, but it could be more than that. And because they don't want the disease to spread, because the disease will, once it gets into a tree, it will eventually kill it, and that can spread really quickly around the forest. So you want to try and avoid that where we can. But our thinking is here we're not super close to much larch forest just here. There's actually some larch just, I don't know if you can see it, but this one here and over here, there's a couple of larch in the current woodland down here. So, and Mitch and Hester are quite keen on having some larch, so we're probably going to plant, I don't know how many it is now, maybe 500 trees down in this sort of area, but it's only a small percentage of the trees that we're planting around here. So it's maybe like 20% of the trees down here. So if it doesn't work or it gets the disease later on, it's not going to be a massive disaster. Whereas originally we were looking at planting a higher percentage, and yeah, it just seems a bit too risky, really. Right, so the other thing to say is, yeah, this is where the track comes, where we started in the top field at the beginning of the video. It comes along these trees here, and then around here, and then drops down into the garden field there. Right, so that's a brief overview of the top field. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video and our design so far. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next video when we'll head down to the garden field to look at the design.